Good morning, everybody, and happy Mother's Day to those of you who are celebrating a Mother's Day today. Yet another one without celebrating, if you could call it that. There's no children around, so there you go. But we've got each other, and that's the most important thing. And it's lovely to see all my ladies joining me today. So good morning to Ethel and Pat, June, Sue, Fiona, Shirley, Jo, Anne, Jane, Karen, Tricia, Kaz. Oh, Barbara. Hello, Barbara. Nice to see you, my love. Hope you're feeling, well, as good as one can. And sending lots of love your way. Oh, and Sheila as well. Good morning to you. Hope you're okay too. Oh, lots of lovely people. Vicky, Jackie, Pat. Lovely. So, as I said, happy Mother's Day. And I'm sending you hugs for Mother's Day. And I'm sending you hugs with a card, the style that I like to do. And I'm going to be using the colours that I've got round here. So they're different colours for me, a greeny sort of palette today. And this is an old die from Sue Wilson, but you may not have it and you may want to add to your stash with it. And that will be found in the Facebook Live section of themaximumcrafts.com if you want to have a look in there. So this is called the Perspectives collection, and it was a few that Sue did some years ago with sort of 7 dies in total, but a negative and a positive way of using the dies. So you could use it like this so that you can see what's behind it, or you can make it like I've done, creeping over here, into an actual words there, and then you've also got sentiments that you can add to it as well. So we're going to be using that. So I'll turn that over, and it's this one that I want to use, just the word hugs there today. Okay, so that's from that section. I'm also going to be using the press cut nesting dies because I want to make a nice frame. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And the card that I'm using today, I'm going to make an 8x8 card, so a nice big card there. And these are old papers. I'm getting good at using my old papers up. So these 2 papers here are from a Die Cuts with a View Copper Luxury, I think it's called. Not one they make anymore, I know, but I have had it for ages, and I very often go and use it because I've used sort of like what I would say my favourite patterns, but it's quite luxurious because a lot of the patterns actually have this copper to it. Can you see that? Which I think is really nice. And this piece here, I've actually cut my flowers from. And so for a lot of cards, it would be possibly too big a pattern, but I think it looks nice as cutting the flowers out. So we've had a go at that, and they're all double-sided. So in actual fact, that colour looks really nice as well. Anyway, so we're going to actually use this side today. And as I said, I've already cut my flowers out. We're using John Next Door Cornflower, because it's my favourite so far. And so that's what we're using. Okay, and then sneaking behind here, I've already embossed a sheet with some lattice, an A4 lattice folder, which is very nice. And then I've got some vintage copper in satin from the Craft Artist range. So this one is vintage copper because I thought we'd go a bit different. So without further ado, let us make a frame, I think, is the first thing to do. And for that, I'm going to use my vintage copper, and I'm also going to use my sort of, well, piece from the pad, but obviously it's a 12x12. Now, I haven't got a 12x12 machine. I haven't got £500 to lay out for that. And so I'm going to use my scissors and just trim that down to roughly, so that it's roughly the same size. Okay. Now, I've got my 8x8 card, so that's going to be my basic card base there. Okay. And I am going to find what I've done. Here they are. I'm going to get the press cut nesting dies. So these are the plain ones. And when I go to make a frame up, I need to decide what size frame, the biggest size that I want to put on here. So obviously, being an 8x8, the dies come to basically an 8x8. The biggest one is an 8x8, but obviously we don't want the card to be the frame to be over the top of the whole card. So we need to come down a bit, and I want to give it so that it's got a bit of a frame of the white card behind it. So this is the third die down, and it gives a bit of a frame. Not too bad, not too bad. I'm just going to check the next size down. So that is the fourth die down. I think that's going to look a little bit better. So I'm going to go with the fourth die down. Now this is the outer bit of the frame, which I will be cutting out from the vintage copper. So I then want to do the inside of that frame is going to be this green. And so I will choose the very next size die down. So that's die number 5. And that will be my outer edge of this one here, of the green. So then I want to think about where my aperture is going to be. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to miss quite a few. I think I'm going to miss at least 4. Or at least 3. Let's try missing 3. So I want quite a wide border. No, I do want a wide border. So I'm going to miss 4. And whoops. Yeah, that gives me quite a nice wide border. I'm thinking. So then I would go for the next one down again, the one very next to this one inside. Oh, can't get hold of it. Which would give me the inner die there. Now I just need to check that my words are going to fit in here still, which they are. So do you know what? I'm going to go for an even wider border. So I'm going to take that one away, and then I'm going to go one down from there. That's it. That's better. That pleases me. So let's get some cutting done. So we need to decide which is our outer border and our inner border. They will be the same. The widest and the narrowest will all be the same piece. So I shall take, first of all, my biggest die, and I'll pop that into position there, tape that down and run that through my cutting machine. And I am going to pop, although it's almost irrelevant because it's not going to be seen, but I am going to pop a piece of paper onto the top of this. And the reason why I'm going to do that is not that I need to shim it or anything. It's that because it would mark with the marks that I have got already on my cutting mat. So I'm just going to pop a piece of paper over the top to protect it. Because when you've been using your mats that look a bit like that, you will get some marks on it. And although I'm going to be covering most of this frame, in all honesty, and therefore probably doesn't matter too much, I think it would look better. And if you get used to that idea when you're using shiny card or gloss mirror card, satin card, and that type of thing, it's quite a good idea to protect it a little bit. Okay. Oh, and then I didn't even protect it. Look, I even left. Look at that. Left that. Must have been stuck. Whoops. Would you believe it? Would you believe it? Tiniest little bit gets stuck underneath. Anyway, just as well, we're going to cut it out. So that's our biggest frame. Now I'm not going to cut the next one out of here yet because we need to go down a fair bit more first. So we can pop that to one side, and I can put that die back on my thing. So then we're going to go to our green because that's going to be the next frame down, and we need to take our largest die that we're going to do for that and pop that in. So that again will be stuck to there, and run that through our machine. And this time make sure that I haven't got any bits sticking on my plate. Right, okay. morning, Anne, new lady. Anne, nice of you to join us. Yeah, if you use the subscribe button on YouTube, you will get notifications of when I'm going to be on. But almost always, I will be here on Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. live, that is, and Friday mornings at 10 a.m. and Saturday mornings again at 11. You can't get rid of me, basically, in a nutshell. So, but it's nice to see some new people, and do subscribe, because then you can also get to join in and chat and everything, which is lovely. So I popped my 2 pieces together, but now I want to cut my aperture out. So for me, the way I do it is that I place my card down here so that it's in the right place, and now I've got left with my 2 aperture dies. So my next size down, so I'm going down in sizes all the time, is for my green piece. And yes, I do tend to what I would call eyeball it rather than measure it. You could keep all your dies together and then put them down evenly, and then just pick up the ones that you don't need. But I find that I'm okay personally sticking it like that. But you know, if you find that it's easier for you to keep all the other squares in order, then that might work well for you. So I'm going to then run that one through the machine like that. Oh. So this is now looking more and more like my frame is going to end up. So just carefully take off my tape, which is just the repositional tape there. So I've got that piece left over for something else. Okay, and then I can put that die away. And I always keep them on my magnetic board there, because I have kept big dies like this before on in the packaging that they came, and I actually find that they get a bit, I don't know, crumpled up. How can you get a die crumpled up? But I do. So I just keep them on there, then I can see them. Okay, so popping this back onto here again. So that sits there nicely. And now we just need to take our final bit out. So all I do to make sure that that is all right is I just check that it's got an even border all the way around. And then I pop my smallest die that I chose into the center, and then carefully just tape that down. And I say carefully because I'm just going to hold that whilst I move that piece, because I don't need to tape that to it. And then just again, check that's in place. And just checking that that's all okay. And then just popping that bit down the bottom, and again, just ease that out of the way. So then I'm going to run that one through, and then we will have our frame all made up, which is ideal. So this is our base card here, and I'm going to be taking my embossed piece here, just trimming that down in a second. So just take that last bit out there. And that bit we can use in a minute for doing our hugs. Lots of hugs. And as you can see, I've got my silly pattern there, but how lucky is that it's covered, eh? But I think that looks really posh. So I usually do like a dark frame and everything, but I think that looks quite nice to be this vintage copper. So it's not your bright colour, it's just sort of this matte or satin, which I think is lovely. So that's got to go on top of there. So we're going to stick that on top of there using some glue. Natural fact, I'm going to not use glue. The reason why I'm not going to use glue is because I want to do it quite quickly for you, and also I will be, if I use glue, I've got to hold on a minute, because sticking something onto the surface of mirror card or satin card, it takes a while to grab, and I don't want to have to mess about like that. So I'm going to put some double-sided tape onto this, and then I will stick that straight onto my satin vintage copper. Seems a shame to cover up this other side as well, really, to me, but it's nice to have paper, patterned paper, where it's nice both ways. So that's just a bit of a cheat's way, really. But now I just got to make sure that I got it in the right place. So let's just pop that down there. Coming down that side as well. Whoops. Oh. Oh, got a little bit of a kink there. We don't need a bit of a kink. So there we are. We've got a lovely frame there. Now I'm going to pop some foam onto the back of that because I want it to sit up, and I'm going to be using 3mm foam onto the back because I want it to sit up nicely and pay attention. Can you believe that we've got yet another Mother's Day without our kids? I know it was last year, Mother's Day was a week later, so it's not quite the year, but first lockdown was the 23rd of March 2020, and who would have believed that we'd still be in another one by now, eh? Unbelievable, really. But there you go, a lot has happened. So I'm just going to make sure that I have got plenty. I'm going to put 2 bits on there just to make sure that that's going to stick down nicely. I'm going to squeeze another one in at the top there. Yeah, I think I can. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, that'll do us nicely. So that's going to go on in a little while onto our frame here. So we are nearly ready to pop that in there. But I want to now cut some of this to go behind. Now, I don't want that to be showing anywhere else but in the middle. I don't want it on the outer edges. So if I just measure the outer frame here, which will give me roughly about 18.5 centimetres. But so I've got to make sure that it's smaller than that because I don't want it to be showing in anyway. Let's pop them to one side a minute. So I think if I did about 17 centimetres, I should be about right then. So let's just take that to 17 by 17, and then this will hide behind. It will be stuck on the front of my card, but it will hide behind my main piece. So let's bring in my card, check that I've got it open in the right way. That's going to go in the center there, and that is going to go on the top there. Beginning to look all right, yeah? Beginning to look all right. Oh, yeah. All these things that we have got arranged, eh? All these things that we'd like to be doing. I'd like to be seeing my baby, but that don't look like very possible at the moment. But there you go. So I'm going to stick that more or less in the middle, but it will be covered up with my frame. So then I'm going to remove the sticky tape on the back there of my frame. And I'm going to add a little bit of extra glue to the frame so that whoops, is going to make sure it sticks. And I'm going to pop that. Hopefully I can get it fairly central like that over the top. Just push that down a minute so that that grabs. So that is giving me my lovely little frame. Okay, and as I said, We're going for a pastel look rather than the usual frame, which I would do, which would have the black inserts. But so we're going for more pastel. Okay, so now we need to make some flowers, and I'm going to pop that to one side while we do such a thing. I'm going to bring a piece of scrap paper back in, and I've already cut out, as you can see, some flowers up here. So these flowers are from the Cornflower by John Next Door, and I've cut them out already with the patterned paper. Now, there is no specific colour, obviously. You can't actually make that out. If I turn them over, you can see more of a one colour there. But I just think that the pastel colours all go together quite well, the sort of coppery aspects of it. So I'm going to make up some of these flowers. But before I do, I'm going to take one of the Distress Oxide Rustic Wilderness, which is a newish colour. So this is one of the greens. And I'm going to pop a little bit of ink onto the very ends of my flowers. So just a little bit, which does seem a bit odd to be putting green on there. I will give you that. But I think it just, because of the colouring that we're using, it just enhances it quite nicely. And I'm only really just almost tickling the ends. Okay, so just popping that over there. Now I'm not going to do anything to the centre of this one because that's going to be on the bottom. So I've got one on the bottom, one on the top. So I've gone for another one at that size, so 2 large ones. So in the die plates, you usually get enough to do either one big flower or 3 flowers. And this one, you've got 2 big pieces and 2 medium and 2 small. So that's handy. So in the centre of this one, which is going to go on the top, I'm actually going to give it a bit of colouring by adding a little bit like that to it. And that's going to go on there like that. But I'm also going to get the centre, which is cut out at the same time, and I'm going to add some of my green to that. So this is the largest centre. So I'm just giving that a bit of a colouring. Okay, so that one's ready to go there. So then I'm going to take my medium flower and I'm going to do exactly the same. So I'm just literally, I don't know why I kept picking up ink because there's plenty on there really. Don't do it. And then I did it again. Oh, never mind. So literally, I'm not putting a lot of colour. I'm just touching it there. So that's the one at the bottom. So I'm not going to put any in the centre. But hopefully you can see even from there that the one that I've actually just touched the edges shows up more than the one that is not. So it is worthwhile, although it's a time-consuming thing. It is worthwhile, I think, to do this. And then colour into the centre. And that one will go onto there. And then I'll take my medium centre there and just colour that one up so that that's nice and dark. And we'll go in the centre there. And then finally, we've got a little tiddly one. Well, hardly tiddly, but just a small one. Just touch those colours in there, but not in the centre. And then this one. Now, actually, I am going to probably do another medium-sized one. I'm not sure if I'm going to want it, but I am going to do it. So it's ready to go. So in the centre there. And then the smallest. That one looks like it's already got lots of green on, but it's just where it's picked it up on the pattern. And I mean, no flower is exactly the same and all that sort of thing, is it? So I think that looks quite nice. And I'm just going to grab myself another medium one. So I'm just going to clear that. Now, whether I use that one or not, I don't know. We will see. So I have already cut out from the Hugs die. I've already cut out 2 pieces. because we wanted to save a bit of time, but I just wanted to make a dimensional one of this. So not just cutting it once, cutting it 3 times and layering them up just gives a really nice effect. Let's just get my medium bit there, and we can put these together. So you can use any colour ink you like, obviously, but I just wanted to keep from the same sort of tones if we could. So let me scoot those onto there so that we can see what we're doing with them a bit better. And I shall take my bone folder and I shall just curl these round a little bit. So I'm holding it in the centre and just pushing those around a little bit. And that's going to go on top of that one. Probably still continue to get covered in ink at this stage because it's not dry, but distress inks takes a while to dry. So just folding and moulding these, and you can do them in any way. You can do it with a tool or whatever you want. So let's just do all of those. So there, and then this little one. Just love my flowers. Love my flowers. Don't know where I got that little bit black bit from, but hey, as we just said, they're not perfect, are they? And I haven't done the little one, have I? So these are now our beautiful flower spray that I'm sending out to all these mums for Mother's Day. Hopefully there'll be time to celebrate past Mother's Days soon. I couldn't say when, just soon. So I'm going to mould them with my moulding mat now, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue glaze on to pick these up quickly. So I've got my biggest flower without the colouring in the middle first, and I'm going to pop my other one on top. Let's get my tool, and I'm just making sure that as far as possible, that the petals on the top lie in between petals that are on the bottom. And then I'm going to get another bit of glue on there and take my largest, oh, I can't get hold of it, my largest centre, which I'm going to push in, and then I'm going to pop that onto the centre, and then I'm just going to push it right down, but I'm going to just hold it there for a second whilst it grabs, and then we've got our lovely flower. Yeah, so let's just do that with the others. So we've got our one without the ink, and then offset that, and our medium centre. You could obviously use any glue that you like, but I do like this glue glaze because it's got such a quick grab and it dries clear, so it's ideal for this sort of thing. So that goes on top of there. And it's quite pretty because it's picking up the way when as I've cut it from patterned paper, it's picking up the other colours of the paper that were behind it. So you've got touches of that sort of coppery colour, which go in quite well. Now, what have I done with that? There it is. And this is the tiddly one. So, oops, not directly on top, just slightly to one side. And then our little baby one on there like that. So all the flowers are ready to go there. And then I'm just going to cut out one more hug. So you can see that I've cut out the hug from the beautiful copper. So I'm just using the word hugs, and I'm going to tape that into place there, like that, and run that through. Just going on through the machine. So the vintage copper, the card, that I'm using is, I think, about well, what is it? Probably about 260. I don't know, about a 260 GSM. So it has got quite a lot of oomph there anyway. But look at them; they're getting everywhere. A little bit of blue corn. I know where it's from. But I like this to be giving it a little bit of dimension as well, so that you can stick those together. Now, they have got in the die set, there's also these little extra bits here. I'll let me show you that way around. Whoops. So you've got the word hugs, then you've got sending you big hugs that you put with it, or sending you big hugs and smiles and kisses, or hugs to you. Okay, so I'm going to get the word to you out, and on my final bit I'm just going to make sure that I've got it around the right way, yeah, like that. I'm just going to get a bit of tape, get a new bit of tape. What's a bit of tape, eh? And stick that onto that letter H. So sticking that right over. Ooh. Right, now then I'm going to run that through the machine as well. Just like that. Tidy the decks as we go. And that will stick itself to the mat very carefully. Then take our die off, and you can see then that it's also cut out the words to you on there. I don't want to lose that little die, so I must make sure I stick that back onto my container there. So then, just to be very subtle, you could have cut that out separately, but I'm just going to then have that, so that actually says hugs to you on there, but not sort of in your face, if you see what I mean, just a little bit of subtle, which I think is nice. So I'm going to pop some glue onto the back of that, but I'm actually going to use the sticky specs because, again, as I'm showing you here now, I want it to be sticking quickly. And if I use the ordinary glue, it will take a few minutes because I'm sticking onto the satin card. So just going to hold that over the top. And pop that down. It's funny, isn't it, how some of the older dies that we may have had in our stash before, you put them to one side and then you forget all about them. And actually, especially right now, we all want a bit of hugging, don't we? Right? So let's put our card finally together. So let's bring that back in. So our hugs is going to go up there. And I've already cut out, I'm going to put some foam onto it as well, but I've already cut out some of my favourite leafy flourishes. These are John Next Door ones as well. I've done them in the same family. No, that's not the word, but whatever. In the sort of same green. I haven't gone for a yellowy green or, you know, a colour that doesn't look. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but if I show you what I mean, hold on a second. Just pick some of the other colour greens up. So I've got a couple of other colour greens here. And if I put that green with it, it's too, you know, it's not the right type of green. And then this one here, lovely greens they are, but they're not right. So this one goes really nicely. So I went through my greens in order to find that green. So I'm going to pop them down just in that corner and just pop these flowers in to just see how they're going to go. So we've got our small, medium and large, which will go there in that corner there. And then I think we've got a space just to pop one up with a little bit of greenery just up at the top there. So let's just pop some foam onto the back of here. So we'll have to do a bit of cutting for that. So I've got my tape and I will have to cut it in half because otherwise it's going to show. And I'm not going to put it everywhere. I'm just going to put it so that it's on the sort of downward bits. Enough to just give it something to stick to, but also something to stick up from. I think that'll look quite nice like that. Just cut this one in half again. They do look nice, Melanie, don't they? Thank you. They do look nice on patterned paper. It just gives it a different look. If you're not sort of, some people aren't happy with doing lots of colouring and that. So it looks really nice just to try it. And if you've got some patterned paper at home, give it a go. Give it a go. I'm sure that you've got an old, some old paper that you probably think, oh, I'll never use it. But when you've actually got, even though it's a small flower, and it was quite a big design, if you recall. See if I can find that piece. It's a big design, and you can see then that was on from there, but that just looks as if I've just popped a little bit of the sort of coppery rose colour on there, which is what we want, isn't it? So let me just take these pieces off here for my hugs. So I kind of think that, you know, at this time we're sending out birthday cards as we normally do, but it's nice to send a card with a hug on it, or a hello, or a something others. But it's quite nice that this is all settled and you haven't got to make sure that it's straight and things because it's already done for you. But sometimes the odd thing like that. Oh, blimey. I didn't put it down. That's better. Just pop in an extra bit of glue, not least for the fact that I'm going straight down onto an embossed surface here. So I'm going to, mind out the way, Leaf. I'm going to go down to here and I'm going to straighten, using one of the lattice patterns, I'm going to pop that onto there. So I'm then going to add my bit of greenery. And as always, I don't put glue all over my greenery. I only put it on some of the pieces, just so that there's enough to stick, because I want it to be, I want to be able to see the movement of the greenery instead, rather than anything else. And I should pop that one up there. Yeah, whoops, got attached. So just a little bit on some of the leaves, but leaving these. And although with that particular dye, the Leafy Flourish, it's a bit of a funny dye, and as much as you tend to sometimes catch these little tendrils, but I think it adds to it. I think it looks lovely. So I'm going to pop my biggest one in there. Should have put this on with hot glue, really, because I want to be able to pick it up and show you in a minute, and then it might all fall off. So other little one there, like that. Stay. Now, just going to get another bit of green because I've decided I do want that up there. So I'm just going to cut myself out another little leafy flourish. And bear with me. You can't go and start cooking your dinner yet because I haven't. So you can't either. I'm going to pop that one up there. So just take this out of my die. Oops. Hold on. Just encourage it to come out to play. There we go. Now I'm probably not going to need all of that. It's just going to go in this corner here. And I think it's going to go so that it just trails into the corner. So I'm just going to trim, with my great big arm in the way, trim that last bit off because I don't want all of that. So I'm just going to pop that into that corner there, put in a little bit of glue into those pieces because they're the only bits that I want to stay stuck down. Coming in from that corner. I can see that I've left a bit of Ujima on there. You know what Ujima is? Have you not got Ujima in your house? There. So that little one's going to go on there. Okay, so now finally, do I need? Not sure if I do or not. Whoops. Some little, oh goodness. I think I do, don't I? A little bit of a, whatchamacallit, in there. Just put some little embellishments in the corner there. Now, if I'd used my hot glue gun, these would have been staying down properly. And what I like to do then is just fluff, if you could call that, my flowers up. Don't like to see flowers laying flat. And I must admit that this is a little bit big for this little one down here, but hey ho, we will still go with it because I haven't got smaller ones. So there you go. And again, I'd like to fluff that up a bit. So there you go. There is me sending a very big hug to all of you peoples that have joined me today, especially as it's Mother's Day, although I don't suppose many of us are doing much more unless you're lucky enough to live near your children. You're probably not doing very much more than meeting up in the back garden, and it's not a particularly very good day for that. But however, many people are not mums, and so it doesn't matter. I'm just sending you a hug. And I hope you've enjoyed watching. Whoops, let's put that back in the middle. I hope you've enjoyed watching me play about in the craft room today. So we have got what we used today was the card was the vintage copper from Craft Artist. And then I used one of my old stash, but you could use a coloured card or whatever, but I used that one there. Then I have used the Cornflower from John Next Door die, and the Leafy Flourish was the leaves. And then I've used the Perspectives die called Hugs from Sue Wilson. And I've used a lattice, I can't remember quite what it's called. It might be called Heart Lattice, but it's an A4 embossing folder there. So there you go. Any of the products that are available over on the website at maximumcrafts.com. I will be back on Wednesday morning, and that is the 17th of March already. Tomorrow is Beware the Ides of March Day. I'm sure you needed to know that. And goodness knows what happens then. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me, everybody. Have a really good day. Stay safe and keep well, and look forward to seeing you again soon and sending you lots and lots of hugs to you. Take care. Bye-bye.